Action. He honore e korore he maunga rongo ki te whenua, he whakaaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Morena whanau, and thank you for joining us this morning. This talk is around culture and developing Te Reo Maori and multilingual platforms. My name is Potaua Biasiny-Tule. My mother comes from Ngāti Pikiao Tūhoi down in the Bay of Plenty, and my father is also Ngāti Pikiao and Niue. And that's why I gave shout outs to Imani and the Niuean whanau who are developing their own IT projects yesterday, if you were there for the panel session. Today I just want to talk about some of our experiences with developing Te Reo Maori platforms, but also I want to just put out there that I'm not a native speaker like my grandfather and grandmother were, so I'm coming to grips with being a young urban Maori who's trying to reclaim my culture, but at the same time develop new platforms and find my own sense in the world. I suppose first, I got into IT at a formal level at university. I trained to be a political science student. I ran for 10 campaigns and I lost 8. So yeah, politics wasn't for me. But I also realized that we saw, maybe last week or the week before, some research coming out about Maori in the media. And the research was quite damning, to say that mainstream representations of our people are usually quite negative. Sometimes there's absence. So if Maori are in the newspaper or on television, normally it's for the bad reasons, for the near glaciers or because someone killed someone. And we developed tangatawhenua.com from a small email newsletter, I pānui, ko Rangi Kāinga. And all it was in the beginning was grab a couple of links that we'd found online and then sent it out to a dozen people. And no one said this was dumb, so I just kept going. And that was, as you do. Not really thinking what was coming. I didn't see the internet, I didn't see the future, I didn't know what was happening. I thought to stay on this path and be an academic. But over the next 2 or 3 years, I realised there was an appetite amongst the Maori community for positive Maori stories. And so we developed our e-pānui, and 4 years later we realised there was a readership there. We'd grown from 12 people to 1,200 people. And another way was I tried to ask around for some money to develop a business, and no one had any money. So at university you get a free email account, and free, basically. So we started a free service, gave it out wide, and then the aroha, they kept coming back going, bro, that's me. Thank you for doing this, thank you for sharing. Here's another story, or here's another link, or here's a picture. And we had this repository of knowledge. So we decided to put that onto our website, so it'd be like an open archive. So it started with a e-pānui and then developed into a website. And my wife came, she was like, oh, that's a great idea. Maybe we should call this tangatawhenua.com. And that's kind of how we started. Like I said, I'm pretty boring and unoriginal. That's why I've got to get my wife around me and my whānau, because they're like, bro, that's it. Okay, cool. So we developed tangatawhenua.com. So from the e-pānui, then to the website, and we'd created this readership audience. By that stage, it got up to 5,000 people. And then someone said, hey, there's a project going called Google Māori. And after doing a bit of research, Google were looking at developing Google in your language, which was, I think, 40 of the top languages. And you'd be able to read Google in Chinese, Google in French. But Dr. Craig Neville Manning, who was the New York engineer for Google, had been trained at Waikato University. And Dr. Tataka Keegan was his tuakana, his mentor. And so Craig said, hey, there's Google in your language. It started. How about we add Maori in there, make it the 41st language? And so they'd started developing just a key group of words, a corpus, I think they call it. And it needed 1,000 or a couple of thousand words to be translated, so that when you click onto Google, it had Google in English or Google New Zealand, push a button, and then everything there just turned into Māori. At the time, we didn't know. Google Māori, okay. So we grabbed our team and we folded it in with Te Taka's team, and part of Te Taka's team was Karaitiana Tauru, sitting over here. So I want to just mihi to Karaitiana. He's one of our Jedi Council. And together we developed a working relationship between the tech users and language aficionados. That's what I want to call it. And once again we said, here's the project plan. Does anyone have any money? Of course, same thing. We've got no money. Great idea. Please carry on, but we've got no cash. But at the same time, we'd been helping with Te Taura Whiri, promoting a lot of their projects and events. And Huhana Rocks came to us and said, we can help you with a translator. We can't pay you. We'll pay our translation team who are already doing the mahi. And that just come off the Microsoft project, I think. And so part of that team was, for me, a giant of a woman. Her reputation was enormous. Wiha Stevens, Tainui Stevens' partner. And then she came to be integral in the entire project because she knew all the different ways to grab Māori language in all its different forms. And if a word was there or a concept was there, she'd get the options and she'd talk her team and they'd say that. Done, next. And it went through maybe 5,000 separate translations. And so over the course from 2007 to 2008, she translated everything, this long list that Google had for us. And she translated, along with her team, everything. And the funny thing was, we didn't meet the full team until the launch. So we all came together, we're like, are you? Yeah, are you? Oh, yeah. And what we appreciated was the collaborative nature that the internet had allowed us. Because at that stage, mobile phones weren't that big. It was still all just emails. Social media wasn't that big either. And so we developed the Google Māori project, which became great for the kids in the schools. And we still hadn't figured out what we could use it for. It turned out to be a good leverage platform because we could walk in any place and say, oh, who are you? Oh, we're the Google Māori people. Hey, front of the line. But by taking that, we were able to go around to the schools and have a listen into what the teachers were talking about, the kids were talking about, and the parents, what they were wanting. And we came to realise that iwi, and I'll probably have to go back to the basic. Te Reo Māori, Māori language is a taonga tuku iho. It's a gift given to us from the atua, down to our ancestors, our tupuna, down to us, and it's intergenerational, so it flows through us. And if we just kept that in mind, that sure, it's a communication skill and process, but it was a gift that we were blessed with and it was ours to share. We realised that iwi and hapu, who had been dispossessed and removed from the mainstream system, were bringing their own back. And we came to see that. A simple whakatauki like, as a hapu, as a sub-tribe, we want to be able to live, work and play inside our own takiwa, inside our own land. Now, we don't want to go overseas. We don't want to even go to the neighbours. We want everything in here. And part of that was the work. Part of that was the language, the stories. And every different rohe we went into, the parents and the grandparents were saying, can you please get our stories and do something techie with it so that our kids can they can learn the language. Because the way we're teaching it, they don't like it. They'd rather learn English. They'd rather learn Chinese. And we don't begrudge them that, but I think the base for our kids needs to be us. So that when they step out into the world, they're armed with, first they have us at heart, and then they have this open knowledge. And that was quite revelatory for us, because in the beginning, I was just looking for some money. Like, all these poor people. But then once you're in there, the things that you really need, you develop a plan as a family. The money came somehow, some way. The money, the resources always came. And so for us, it was just setting a good course and making sure that everyone who was even remotely interested was sitting at the table. And then you all put your dreams forward and you develop a plan. And then next to the plan, you develop the resources that were required. And so I think part of the lessons I learned was, in a plan, make sure that if the plan is the pa, make sure all the fingers and the thumb are there. And then you try and figure out what you're doing. And then from that one, then you get another plan, which is the resources, which might be capacity, which might be money, which might be bringing networking in. And then together, the left hand and the right hand know what you're both doing. Because too often the government says, this is what the people should be doing, and this is what we do. So the people are here going like this, and the government's going, yeah, it's pretty hard to, and then that we found lots of times it was adversarial. The people's plans are here, and the government's plans are there, and that happens often. And it's been lots of time and energy and effort, and you put something out there, but government policy, government departments, bloody egos that just scuttle it. So then we developed more comprehensive hapu plans and more comprehensive whanau plans, because it starts at the whanau first. I looked around New Zealand, there were a couple of good app companies, but they were charging the earth. And so we just grabbed their quotes, stuck it in, $100,000, and we got it. You're like, yes! But with that, we've also divided it up into 3 groups. The first app was developed by a more creative up here in Auckland. They're pretty mean. That's Rohan and the brothers. And then what we tried to do wasn't just give money away to these crews. We wanted to develop our people. And so we tried to get Rohan to sit alongside Hoterene Brown. He's around here somewhere, keeping a low profile. And Hoterene has been able to work more on the outside. Hoterene has been able to work on the iPhone app, and now we're developing the iPad app. And then here, that's Hoterene there. So really this iPhone app, that's the brother. And we've been able to develop the working relationships to get these platforms available. And now that the iwi and the hapu know that they're here, we're hoping that they will help us develop more for like a Ngāti Whakaue app, and then or a Tūhoi app. The old people don't like it because it still takes away from the one-on-one interaction. Yesterday I spoke about language. The pure sense of language is you and nature. How nature talks to you and how you talk to nature. How you communicate with the earth, the water, the birds, the trees, the mountains. Because for the most clearing way to ground yourself, what I was told, is you go to your ancestral mountain and you just let yourself be blown by the wind, clear your thoughts. And apparently, I don't know, I'm part Jedi too, at all, the force just flows through you. And that's the essence of communication. And then if you can go back and you can, if the old people can see that you've just done that, they'll see it. They see that, oh look, he's back. And other people call it a recharge, but that's the essence. And then you communicate with your old people, and then you communicate with your young people, and that's intergenerational. And what they don't like is that these things start getting in the way of that pure essence. But our generation kind of will run to the mountain and go, and then we'll run to another mountain and, hey, look, I got a photo of me, panoramic, hey, I'm going to do a video, hey, everybody. And that's it. More and more, our grandparents are starting to understand the value of it, because all of their favourite mokos, or the bright ones, gone Aussie. And so instead of just crying about it, they'll jump on the Skype, got the iPad, and hi moko, I love you, I miss you. And so what we're trying to do is keep those connections alive. Yes, these are the tools, but the essence of it is just to keep connected. Well, I think I would kind of prefer at this stage to get you to ask questions about how it's done or why do it, or some of the challenges you might see, and maybe not just in Te Reo Maori, in your language. What are some of the challenges you face? The 3 things I would say for me were getting the right people, getting a good plan, and the resourcing. But that's always been our constant. But what are your constants? Any questions? Oh. Yep.
Kia ora, the constants. I'm going to ask a question. I was just going to say shivers. There's a lot of our. Pardon? Okay, right. Can you hear me? Yeah. You sure? I don't want you to be. Yeah. Okay. Firstly, I suppose for me, it's good to see a lot of our Pākehā brothers here. Hey, right? And sisters, I suppose. Because my wife is Bulgarian. My classroom is Pākehā, right? But how many is in the room accessed the internet in 1994? Now here's the point. Which came first, the computer or the internet? The computer did. And my challenges along this road from 1994 to right now has been not only with the internet but with computers. And the reason is because I'm a Maori and there's this underlying seed that says you can't do it. So the challenge all along the road, not only from my white Pākehā brothers, but my brown brothers, is that he can't do that because he's a Maori, right? That's the challenge. I looked at it every step of the way. I'm going to tell you something that I need to let you know. I designed my first website in 1994 and I got paid. I got paid. I hosted my first website on my own servers in 1997. My family owns the only or the first WiMAX ISP in the world, right? And I still have this underlying cancer that says they can't do that because they're Māoris. And we need to get rid of that. Because if we don't get rid of that, how can we be brothers? How can we be sisters? Right? And the challenges that the young have today are still here from the challenges when I had. And I'm an old man. Right? So my question and my thing is, how are we going to get rid of that stigma first? If we destroy that, we'll get a long way ahead. Because I've got to tell you something. Māori have a lot of answers. Right? But I think at the end of the day, what I've done, I'm going to keep doing. I don't care what happens out there. I don't care what the government thinks. I don't care what all of those departments think, because they're doing nothing. I've got answers. I'm sitting here talking to people that are helping our people on the smell of an oily rag. Hey. So how are we going to get over that? That's what we have to destroy. We have to say, here's a bunch of people that can do the job. Let's start looking at their skills. Don't look at their skin. Don't look at their culture. Look at what they can do. That's what's wrong with the country. Too many consultants. $400 million for asset sales. Stupid. We need to get out of that culture. If you look today at what the Labour Minister said, money going out of the country is all about, what did he say, financials, right? Skyrocketing, financial services. It happened in America, which is following the same scenario. But that's a culture. Hey, that's a culture. We have to destroy it, we have to get rid of that and put something better in place. Potaua he's a voice for us in the DMF, the Digital Māori Forum, because there's a group of people that have decided we've had enough. We need to get on and do the stuff. We've got a group of people doing computers at home. They're not sitting there moaning, waiting for all these Māori groups to come along and give them heaps of cash. They've got the people in place that can help them to get the doies done. Okay? But that's a question I want us to answer. Okay?
Kia ora tātou. My name is Dave Moskowitz. I'm an Internet New Zealand counsellor. And I've also had the privilege to work on several lexicography projects on New Zealand's national languages, including Te Whiri's He Pataka Kupu dictionary and the Dictionary of New Zealand Sign Language in its various forms through the years. And to answer your question, I'd just like to say not all government money is dumb, and it's not like all government departments are dumb and there are bad things happening everywhere, because there are little pockets of intelligence that are being applied really, really well in government to help the people actually enable the people to do what they need to do for their own languages. And people for whose languages are at stake, it's really up to them to take the lead. And when you ask the question, what can we do? How do we get rid of that stigma? Oh, we're Maori, so we can't do it. Or, oh, we're deaf, so we can't do it. You just need to get out there and do it and prove them wrong. And the good news is that the cost of doing projects around our languages has reduced greatly over the years. So it used to be that you needed tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to launch a project. Well, the good news is that now the cost of running those projects using things like WordPress or other open source technologies has come down to near zero. So anyone can engage and make this happen. And there are plenty of geeky Pākehā like myself and loads of people in the room who would only be too happy to give a hand, help you connect, and help whoever it is upskill themselves so that they can take charge and do it. There are pockets within government that are making this happen, and I think our challenge collectively is to, now that those projects exist, now that we have lots of corpora in Maori and in New Zealand Sign Language, to actually take control ourselves of those projects and not let government set the agenda or academic institutions set the agenda, but have the people set the agenda by taking this data and these projects and carrying them forward in a more open, collaborative way rather than a centrally controlled way. But the bottom line is that you need to just get out there and start doing it. Build up the experience, and the rest will follow. Take risks, but make it happen. Kia ora.
Ka tiki ronga. Anei te mihi ki a koutou, ka hoki atu ki tō maunga, ki te puehu koutou i te hau o tāwhiri mātia. Nō reira, ki te mihi ki a koe i te rangatira, mō koutou pukamahi i te upurangi, i ngā mea o te ao huri nei, nō reira, tēnā koe. Huri no te ki te ruma, tēnā koutou. My name is Mark Tarato. I'm a systems manager at Te Whanau Raukua in Otaki. This is the first Internet NZ forum that I've been to. I've been to other educational conferences in regards to IT. And yeah, it's very interesting to see our people delving into this. And I think we've been involved for a lot longer than some people give us credit for. And my interest lies mainly in the infrastructure area. So my hope is to build platforms from which our people can deliver the services and the resources that Potaua is working on at this present time. I know there are several iwi and areas working on building infrastructure for themselves in separate areas. We are currently in the process of building a community network in Otaki and managing that and getting infrastructure there, not only for our iwi, for our wānanga, but for the kura, both kura kaupapa and the standard high schools there, for businesses who want to extend technology, so collaborations there. We want to be able to extend on the infrastructure that's going through the country at the moment. The same people that assisted us with our network have completed the infrastructure from Tamaki Makaurau up to Whangarei with the iwi there. So things are growing for us. My main concern, much like Potaua in the infrastructural area and systems management and all that process stuff to build those sorts of networks and maintain them, is that building our capacity as Maori. So I would really like to see, and I should become part of it if I want to see it, I guess, is our rangatahi, our young people taking on the industry at the school level and finding a niche for themselves. Not all of us are creative. I am not a creative Māori. Okay, I am very probably pedantic, a little bit anal, so I'm probably suited more for systems. You know, so I just want to be an engine room. I want to be a support. You've got to have that, because if our services, our layer 3 services and apps and all those things don't have that infrastructure, they'll just fall through. So that's where I'm interested in. So the one thing I want to do, the challenge for us as Māori and others who want to join us, is I hope that we can hui together as iwi on a basis and perhaps build our own Māori ICT hui that we can all attend and bring our thoughts together on a regular basis, a formal hui, rather than say, oh, let's just, I mean, it's good to travel up and meet up with people, as we know, we love hui. Māori love hui, but to have a more formal one where we get some real results out of. Not turn up to hui, get all G'd up, come back next year and, well, we reached about 10% of our goals. Yes. We want to reach 100% of our goals, and to build capacity, to build oranga, to build wealth among our people. And that's not financial wealth on its own. It's all sorts of wealth, employment opportunities. I mean, saw on the paper the other day 373 IT jobs in Wellington available, and they're looking to go overseas because they can't fill them. Now that's diabolical, really, for this whole country, let alone just Māori. Yeah, so hopefully we can build capacity out of our little area and join with other areas to do the same sort of thing. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
I'd just like to unite us with this is just a small whakatauki I found. He awhi tētahi, I tētahi me noho tahi, tēnā pai ka tika. To help each other, sit as one, and what is right will be there.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Te Reo. I just want to share some of my experiences with localisation projects, since we're talking about localisation. My first localisation project was in 1997 using Microsoft Word templates, trying to translate the menu system. The problem I had back then is the same problem we now as Māori still have, and that's the amount of correct words to use. There is a decent corpus now. Last count I had about 30,000 ICT Māori words. But then there's still lots of criticism, and there's still a lot of our culture tells us, oh, you can't go and create that new word because our kaumātua haven't approved it, or these days our academics haven't approved it. I mean, I've been waiting around for all these years for someone to start approving words and to get on and help us, and it hasn't happened. Talking to colleagues who localise other languages, they say, I won't use their words, but they say, no, stuff them. Just do the words. If they're not happy, they'll change them later. But if you just change the words now, localise your own words now, then you can get products out there. So since then, I mean, back in the early days of localisation, just using a macron was a huge issue. Everyone sat on their hands going, well, when's government going to help us out with some macron tools? I mean, it took some of us IT guys, just made our own and gave it out for free. And then Microsoft came on board, thankfully, and made it more general. And then, I mean, since then we've had Microsoft come on board and localise Windows and Microsoft Office. They've put a lot of effort into doing that. It's been reflected here, I mean, we need to do things ourselves, and by doing things ourselves, projects can get done. So I'm involved in a project now where we're 50 or over 50% translated Facebook and just over 90% translated Twitter, and they're going to both be available later this year. This is without government assistance, no one's funded it. It's just basically like-minded people get together, network, and do what we do best. We get the techies in, we get the language experts in, we get the whanau in to check it. And to me, I think if anybody wants to translate any software, we need to start networking. There's plenty of language people around, there's plenty of geeks around. Like Dave said, Dave's an expert in his area, and he does a wonderful job, and there's plenty of others around as well. All the ICT words that I have, let's just use them, and other people have words we can use, and let's just sit down and do it together. Let's not worry about government.
Hi, Potaua and I have been trying to get together for quite a while. I've been really encouraged to hear your Google Maori story. Kevin from the Foundation of the Blind. One thing we've noted is there isn't a synthesizer for Te Reo. There was one in DOS days, but there doesn't seem to have been one ever since. So what you can't get is text-to-speech in Te Reo. Now that's going to be... You've got the same problems that Karataana's just been talking about, getting that agreement. I don't want to go into any huge detail. We kind of got a plan. We know technically how to do it. But it's no good me coming on and saying that's the way it's done. I don't speak Te Reo. I'm not a Maori. Maybe it's something for the bar camp. Maybe we all get together and this is the place to start networking. Mm-hmm. But that's what Potaua and I have been trying to get together and start off. But I think that'd be a hugely important thing, not just for the blind or for Kapa Māori, but also once you've got a synthesizer, you can start doing things. You can do your apps. I've got a great Learn Welsh app in my pocket. The same people that we're talking about producing the synthesizer produced a Welsh synthesizer. If they can do it for a language population that small, then Te Reo is a breeze. They like sheep as well, the Welsh. I'm just open. We're at the stage where I need to know where to go next. I need to get those fingers. I've got the palm. Yeah. I need the fingers.
Nice.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, last night what we talked about during the panel, it was a question actually from the floor. How do we build the bridge? And that, I was saying, because for me when I speak, when I listen to how I'm about to speak, people do it in metaphor. You're a young seed and you plant yourself in the right conditions with the best protection, good sun ray and water, and inside the forest you'll nurture. You'll get strong trees in a strong forest, or you'll get crap trees in a crap forest. It goes both ways. And then I like that. I talk like that because I sound like my old people, sound wise. It just makes sense because I'm a simple fella. And similar with the birds. When I walked in yesterday, I just heard all the choruses and I was like, wow, beautiful. It's like all the birds from all over the place. And so it was just adding to that. And the bridge example made a lot of sense to me. I was like, so how do we from our side connect with others on that side and build that common platform? And IT, the internet, is that common platform. And what we've all been saying is how does one side meet the other side and make that strong bridge and make those connections throughout our own whanau, our community, and our country. Because in a way, if we do that well, then we don't need to go to America to grab their guest speakers. We don't need to go to Australia to grab their guest speakers because they're all right here. I think we can inspire ourselves and we can do this for ourselves and we can share with the world, but imitating them, then we'll just be them. If we can look after ourselves, that's a good place to start. Yeah, my wife's American too, so that's how I built my bridge. Make some chillins.
Kia ora Potaua. Kia ora koutou. My name is Leona Karadia, and I'm a regional coordinator for Computers in Homes, and I manage the Hawke's Bay region. The last few years I've been managing the Wairau region. I'm born and bred in Wairau, and I met Potaua a couple of years ago through the DMF. Thanks to Ray for gathering us all together. I feel a little bit nervous. But yeah, okay, well, I want to say a story. And about 10 years ago, I had moved back to Wairoa. I had come back after doing some study, and I was unemployed. I had gone down to the local information centre, where at that time they were running Be Your Own Boss. I had sent out, I lost track of how many CVs I had sent out, and I'm one of these people that was either underqualified or I was overqualified, so I don't actually have a full degree, it's a half degree, but most of my experience is through work experience. And I walked into the information centre in Wairoa. I had track pants on, and I had a hoodie on, and I had my beanie on because it was freezing. And I walked in and I said, you know, kia ora to the lady. She was non-Māori, and I said, look, could I please have some information about Be Your Own Boss? And she looked at me and, you know, it's like a little bit bemused, and I said, oh, you know, do you have any information for me? And she said, oh, no. And I thought, well, do you not have the Be Your Own Boss booklets? Because I can't find a job, so I may as well take the initiative and be my own boss. And she turned around and she said to me, oh, well, they're quite hard to read. Now, I just looked at her and I was like, pardon me? And she's like, well, that's quite hard to read. And I thought, well, you know what, I do know how to read. And then she changed her mind and she said, wow, they cost money. And I said, well, how much? And she said $20. And I said to her, well, I came in here specifically to get the book, so please just give me the books, I'll give you $20. Now, coming back to a little bit what Ray said about discrimination and that, as Māori, I've had many discriminations. That was just one example. Age is another barrier for me. I'm 41 years of age, and my father, we grew up, you know, so we were seen, we weren't heard, and so that culture still lives today. It's like Dad still doesn't take my word for things because it's like, oh, but you're still a child, but in reality that's part of culture with Māori. You have that respect where you just do as you're told. And for me as a female, I find that really a little bit, I'm always challenging my father. But anyway, what I want to say is, I'm now employed, obviously. I own my own ICT company in Wairoa with my partner. I'm an ICT project manager. I moved home because it's home, and it's home for me. So going to work in Wellington like I did when I was a teenager, and I got educated in the non-Māori world, which was such a huge beneficial for me. I have got 4 employees that are sitting in front of us here, and they're all with Simplistic Advanced Solutions. So I'm also a wireless internet service provider company. Through Computers in Homes, it helped us to leverage with a big, huge gap that was in our rural district. So when we're dealing with so many families that don't have an internet, let alone a home line, we have a huge disconnection in our community. And coming home for me will probably be the most rewarding because I'm born there, my children have been educated there, I'm educated there, and for whatever unknown reasons, throughout my 20 plus years of working, it keeps taking me back to Wairoa. As Potaua said, the people are most important, he tangata, as our previous speaker. And so what I'm just trying to say is, you have to make a difference. We have people in our community that don't have opportunities to get out there and be educated in a different system. And most importantly, I think it's, as a self-employed person, I think it's really important that we have to look at the people around us in our communities, and we have to make investments. Choosing people who either have a qualification sometimes is not, it doesn't fit our square sometimes because they're not loyal in some sense. Some are, but there might be other expectations. And so it's about taking investments in the people that we know, and it's loyalty and being able to improve your own careers and experience, but most importantly is share that amongst the rest of our community. And we actually do quite a lot of other mahi in Wairoa, so it's not just the Wairoa Company and the ICT Company. We also manage in the Wairoa District schools as well as other schools outside the region. We're also part of the RBI, and fortunately for Gisborne.net, we have been fortunate enough to allow other disconnected communities such as Rikaturi, such as Koti Maori, Raupunga, and other disconnected areas in our district. People having the opportunity now to be connected at a faster internet speed rate, whereas a lot of these families are running on 6 kilobits per second. You move around the district, you're on 12 kilobits. Go a bit over the hill, you might get 14. And yeah, so these are the disadvantages of what a lot of our communities have experienced. But through sheer hard work, lack of sleep, many overnights without sleeping just to get projects done and deadlines met. Yeah, it's just about a lot of hard work in our communities. And I do feel jealous when I see other people in other areas that have life, because when you're working as a self-employed person, it's not about you anymore. It's not about the money. It's about creating the infrastructures in your areas to make sure that you're planning for the future. Kia ora.
Kia ora. I'd just like to also take the opportunity, if you want to come and share your projects tonight, we're meeting here at 6:30. I'm not quite sure which room, but this room. I'm going to shout some pizzas. So, and really we'll just have a table for kaya and a table to talk. Yeah, so everyone's invited. Party ma, please. But I also want to say that necessity sometimes just drives us. Me and the bro were sitting on the dole a couple of years back, because I went from being a failed academic, and I thought, wow, I want to get actually into politics, so I chose the hardest route and went to work for Hone Harawira. I mean, he's the man, but he got so much pressure on his shoulders, And so 6 months later, I was on the dole, and I went for the Waitangi Tribunal, and listening to the water claims that are happening now, I can see lots of sides, and I can see no winners, but I can also see some winners, and it's messy stuff. That's why I got out of there and went back to Rotorua, and I looked around for work. I got work sweeping floors with my dad, which was an honour, for me, because I'm working with my dad with a broom, being honest. But then there was always the internet, digital, keep doing it, and we just picked ourselves up and did it. And necessity brought us here, but also love of what we do and being in a room full of passionate people who we can learn from, all the different projects, just inspiring. And part of it was the Endangered Languages project, which is happening overseas. But we also know that our language is dying too. Old Tūhoi languages is there, but not there like it used to be. And that must be the same in a lot of communities. Old languages that we used to hear are not there. So how do we keep that connection going? I'm conscious we only got a few more minutes, but a couple more questions?
Te tū. E nā mana e nā reo e nā rauranga tira mā, tēnā koutou katoa. Te mihi tuatai ki tō matua nui o te rangi, nā nā ihanga, nā nā itonga. Ko nā mihi kua mihia, tautoko ana ki nā mihi kua mihia. Kia rātou e tuake nei hei kōrero pāna ki nā mahia a te rāpitu. Ka huri ake I roto I te reo, tuarua hei whakakōrero tia. tai atu ki o korero. Morning all. First and foremost, the first thing I'd like to say is it's great to be at an IT hui where I feel as though I'm equal. I've been to a couple of these hui and I've had to sit at the back and listen to everyone tell me how it is. But it's a pleasure to actually come to a hui and see that everyone's on the same playing field. So that's my first big up to the hui, to the NetHui, and creating that environment that allows everyone to be stimulated in the world of IT. Secondly, I'm part of a ISP in the Hawke's Bay region called SwiftNet, and we supply a WiMAX service wirelessly to our clients throughout the Hastings region. It's been a pleasure, but at the same time, it's been hard work, especially when you're installing hardware at a very, very, how can I say, competitive salary rate of love. For us, first and foremost for us, not just myself, not for everyone that's sitting in the room, but for the unprivileged people that haven't had the experiences that we have with the internet. But during this time, I've met such people as Potaua, Leona, and a lot of vast Māori that are trying to compete in a very competitive world of ICT in Aotearoa. So to, like Ray said, my Pākehā brothers and sisters, because you're part of a bigger picture for us as Māori. I burst a question onto what's his name, Mr. Shearer this morning. It was actually not directed at him, it was actually directed at his compadre, Mr. What's his name? Joyce. Yeah, that's him. For me, the asset sales is not as important for Māori, but it's as important for everyone. Because the impact that that's going to have on our sector is going to either, one, be an advantage in us, me getting paid, okay, me getting something else other than aroha, but how much of an effect is that going to have on my kids in the next 15 years? That's the bigger picture for me. Like the bro said, they're going to go from your smartphone to having something out of this world that we won't even comprehend. You know, my parents, they find it hard to comprehend a laptop and a smartphone nowadays. So one day I'm going to be one of those people that's not going to be able to comprehend what my child's walking around with. So the asset sales for me was something that I wanted to direct at Mr. Joyce for a reason. That reason being that, cheers guys, that reason being that for us, we've struggled and we're still struggling, but the fight will always go on. Okay, no matter what, we'll get up tomorrow and we'll still work. I will still work for the aroha because I think it's something that's going to benefit my children in the long run. Okay, so from a cultural perspective, from a Māori perspective, a lot of us have touched on it. It's about whanau, family. Family, it's our roots. This country is where we're from and we're proud of it. Okay, and I look at my Pākehā brothers and sisters and I know exactly that's how they feel. Okay, they're proud of that ancestry that they have on this whenua for us, this land. Okay, so we hold fast to where we're from, we hold fast to our beliefs and what we've been told and what we've been taught, and we'll always hold fast to what we see as an improvement for our children in the future. Okay, so that's all I have to say from a SwiftNet point of view and an Ivan point of view. So thank you very much.
I just got one more korero before we go. I don't want to delay here. Yeah. No. Okay then. Thank you for coming, and please come to the dinner tonight at 6:30, and come and join in some pizza. Bring your mahi and bring your questions there. Thank you. Kia ora.